Hello and welcome to another Israeli Frenemies, the only show that brings you the right and left at the same studio at the same time, here from Tel Aviv, Israel on ILTV. Hi, Ari Fuld.
How you doing?
My partner in crime.
Getting ready for Rosh Hashanah, getting ready for that new year. It's coming up. Sneaking up on us.
All right, and this week you have something to start with.
Yeah, so this week we saw Ruvi Rivlin, the president of Israel, visit Munich. And this is 45 years since the Munich massacre during the Olympics happened in 1972. The Munich massacre, for those who don't know, 11 Israeli athletes, coaches, and 2 referees were actually murdered there by Islamic, well, actually, they were not Muslim terrorists. They're actually Arab terrorists.
Palestinian.
No, they weren't Palestinian. They were Arab terrorists. And we'll talk about it a little bit later on if you like. But in any case, Israel's reaction to it, thank God, was to go after them after the attack. They were nowhere near Israel, no danger, and take one out at a time and make sure that they can no longer hurt Jews again. For 44 years, the Olympic Committee did not even give any kind of ceremony in memory of these people. 2016 was the first time in the international world said we have to do something. In fact, in that year, it said the games must go on. You've heard that, so that's a real embarrassment. But again, I really wasn't expecting much, but the big surprise was Ruvi Rivlin didn't go there and say, thank you, Germany, for realizing what you did was wrong. He had to make a statement, say the PA, Israel's peace partners, I guess you call them, are calling the people who carried out this horrific murder, they're calling them heroes. And Ruvi Rivlin says that has to stop. I say, if they're calling them heroes, all relations with them should stop. They should be giving nothing, zero, no electricity, no water, nothing. We cannot allow this to keep going on when people are applauding the murder of Jews. I'll bounce this right off to you because I know you got another subject you want to talk about.
Yeah, I definitely do. This week, it was reported that a teacher from a school in a town in southern Israel, they didn't say exactly which town, was sacked, basically.
She quit.
Well, she was sacked. There was some of the parents in the class she was teaching, went to the mayor of that town saying that she's a lefty. No, she's identifying with asylum seekers, and that she prays breaking the silence, and therefore she has to be fired. And unfortunately, there was a big pressure, and she found herself with the mayor of a town, talking to a teacher, something that rarely happens, and she found herself having to quit and go to another school at another town.
Again,
I think this is the worst kind of McCarthyism you can imagine. I think it shouldn't be a surprise because it comes from the top bottom. What we hear from our leaders right now, the right-wing leaders who are leading the Israeli government, who are inciting against legitimate and I think patriotic points of views that are aimed to save Israel the way we see it, and teacher had to pay the price of her work in order to, because of her views. I think that should be a consensus. It should not happen.
Well, I just want to, a couple of, really, it's important. She quit, she wasn't fired, and in fact, she said at the end that she was getting a message of support from other teachers and from other parents and students, so she didn't have to quit, she quit. But the parents did not say only about the illegal infiltrators into Israel. They went on her Facebook, and on her Facebook there's a hand that has stopped Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory.
Yeah,
so
I share this point of view, so I'm not legitimate. Okay, my views are not legitimate.
Well, there's a problem because we never actually occupied Palestinian territories.
That's fine. That's a debate.
Hold on one second.
But to say she can't be a teacher in Israel?
Let me finish a sentence. Normally in Israel, you're not bringing politics into the classroom.
It wasn't on her Facebook page.
If you're ready, but no, she was bringing it into the classroom as well.
No. You said it yourself.
I'll read it inside.
It was on her Facebook page.
Again, in terms of inside the classroom, we were talking about breaking the silence as well in the classroom. And
why is that wrong?
Because again, it's politics. But again,
excuse me, when there are religious organizations that bring in your lifestyle that many people don't support, that's politics too.
No, again, there's a difference between bringing in a political view and then giving Jews
her own view.
Hold on, let me finish a sentence, Let me finish a sentence. She said she would continue to educate for tolerance.
I can't believe you support that.
Support what? Her quitting?
Support the mayor pressuring her.
No.
Support again, she wasn't. This ugly,
no, it's not
ugly attack on a teacher in Israel.
Again, when she says that she sees the Arab narrative, false narrative. I'm sorry, she can't bring it to the students.
I'm really disappointed, but we have to continue. Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move on. Over the last 2 days, Israel's receiving reports, actually first from the Arab press. Of course, the IDF and the IAF have not said they didn't do it, but reports that the Israel Air Force has attacked a chemical plant in Syria, where it has been suspected by also the United States State Department as well that there were chemical weapons being brought in there to the area. And Israel flew out there 3 or 4 planes, if I'm not mistaken, and completely destroyed that factory. Now, the point of the matter is that, I'm very happy they did that, of course. I'm very proud of our Israeli Air Force. But I'm just thinking to myself, there was a plan many years ago to make peace with this man Assad, and I cannot imagine what would be today if Assad was on the Golan, a man who's slaughtering 600,000 of his own people, and bringing chemical weapons into his country to destroy more. Can you imagine if we made peace with them years ago?
First of all, Assad is not my choice of a leader. Unfortunately, it seems that because of the Russian intervention and the American avoidance of intervening, this guy is going to be the big winner of this disastrous war in Syria. And not only will we have Assad as our neighbor, we will also have Iran and Hezbollah.
It's the same funnel.
Right, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't as the Iranian presence was not even close to what it is now. And this is all on Netanyahu's watch. Now, regarding it's true.
1 second. You think Iran hating Israel, wanting to destroy Israel, is Netanyahu's fault?
The fact that in his watch, the person who always uses Iran as the big demon and everything, in his watch, during his watch, we have Iran actually on the ground, boots on the ground.
Not yet.
Boots on the ground.
Not
Well,
yet.
you have the Revolutionary Guard on the ground in Syria. So if we had only Hezbollah before this, on our north, now to our northeast, we also have Iran, actually Iranian troops on the ground with the umbrella of Russia. All that is happening on Netanyahu's watch.
You know what I love? I love when Netanyahu
So
went
the
to,
security...
When Netanyahu went to America to battle the UN with the nuclear agreement, you all thought he was crazy. Now you're blaming him for Iran.
No, I'm happy that at least Iran is here without nuclear weapons due to the agreement that Obama signed.
No, already... The UN delegate of the United States said they already broke the agreement. You got to keep on the news.
There's no nuclear weapons of Iran.
Listen to me.
And that's an Israeli interest.
The UN,
because
Nikki Haley said flat out they broke the agreement. But that's not the point. I just want to understand what you're saying.
So why didn't they cancel it?
1 second. Are you blaming Benjamin Netanyahu for Iran or anyone else on our borders wanting to destroy Israel?
I'm pointing to the facts.
Okay.
The fact is that during his watch, the big Iranian, the defender from Iran got stronger on our next door to us.
Is it Netanyahu's fault?
He's the guy in charge.
So say it. Is it Netanyahu's fault?
Yes.
Or no? Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Netanyahu's at fault for Iran's hatred of Israel. Okay,
of course.
Gotcha.
And as to your question,
yes.
Look, if we would have had peace with Syria, perhaps, I don't know that, but perhaps, all this would not have happened. Because then, look what happened with Egypt. Goodness. Okay, Egypt, on the eve of the peace agreement with Israel,
yes,
and there it was also a dictator and everything, was very close to Russia, like Syria is now. After the peace agreement, it became a country that is close to the United States and an ally of the United States, and therefore of Israel. If we would have had an American ally next door to us, we would not have Iran, we would not have Hezbollah, all that. No peace agreement would have been signed, and that's why it wasn't signed by neither Rabin, Netanyahu, who promised via his what's his guy, the Estee Lauder owner, Ron Lauder, who promised by Ron Lauder to Assad to withdraw all the Israeli forces from the Golan Heights, Netanyahu, or by Barak. None of them got reassurance that Hezbollah would be dismantled from their weapons.
Right,
so if Netanyahu or Barak or Rabin would have signed this agreement, not only would we not have had
this problem
Iran next door to us, would not have had Hezbollah. No, it's not.
Okay.
Syria did not.
Let me just go back.
Wasn't
History,
okay with that.
A little bit of history. Egypt, when they made peace in 1973, all the Russian
78, 79.
all their weaponry was gone.
73 was the Yom Kippur War.
Right, they were completely destroyed. All the weaponry was destroyed. Their whole country was destroyed, and therefore Sadat came to make peace.
73?
1 second, hold on. In the war, they were destroyed.
They were destroyed.
Completely.
It was their best. It was their best war ever.
They switched from Russian weaponry to American weaponry because everything was destroyed. Israel destroyed their air force completely.
No, you're talking about 67.
No.
In 73.
No. Listen,
they almost captured the whole of Sinai
back. They lost
back.
the war at the end, and after that, they had to make
At
peace.
the end.
Hold on.
So we have a new proposal by MK Bezalel Smotrich from the National Union Party and the Jewish Home Party. He suggests that Palestinians would be willing to leave their homes and to immigrate out of the West Bank would be getting money from the State of Israel in order to promote their immigration. Now, I believe first that this is a stupid stupid suggestion.
Because when it's for Jews, it's a smart suggestion.
Jews were brought there by their government.
Right.
And the government can take them out. By the way,
so that's not stupid.
Compensation, they can be getting compensation on the value of their homes and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But not getting bribe in order to leave their homes.
Why bribe?
Neither to Jews nor to Arabs.
It's not a bribe.
But it won't work. No one will do that. But it just shows just how disgraceful. No, that's not a word. Condescending Mr. Smotrich is towards the Palestinians, the way he sees them. Palestinians are native to the West Bank.
They are not native.
They are native to the West Bank.
Incorrect.
They are native to the West Bank.
They were brought in to build a Turkish
Israel
railroad.
is militarily occupying them. By doing so, it's jeopardizing its own existence as a national Jewish homeland and a democracy. Another provocation by Smotrich. He got us to talk about it. Of course, very problematic, and as with Smotrich, with racist elements.
Okay, so now let me give you the facts, since you said they won't go and it's not fair. 20,000 Palestinians leave Judea and Samaria every single year.
Of course, because
that's
they
enough.
live under
One second. So they say they won't go, they will go. Number two, polls show that about 30% of PA Arabs would like to move out of the country. And that's, again, this is a survey published in July by the Palestinian Center for Police Survey Research, not Israel. So the fact you're saying they won't go is not true.
Hold on. Jews don't immigrate from Israel?
1 second. Let me give you the facts first, because you said it's not real, it's not going to happen. The polls show 100%. According to the survey, 47% of Gaza Arabs would emigrate from the Strip if they had the means to do so, while 23% of PA residents in Judea and Samaria said they would to live elsewhere if they were furnished with the means. Which means to me, they are willing to go, number one. Now, so this is not about racism. This is about a problem we have in Judea and Samaria. I don't know why the left is really forced about calling it the West Bank when this is a word used by the Arabs when they try to justify destroying Israel. The Palestinians, the whole identity was a fabricated identity made in 1964. Why? They're Arabs, and they live in Judea and Samaria, and what he's saying is, we don't want to go to war anymore.
Right.
It's 1 second, let me finish. It's not going to work. What we will do is we will help those who want to emigrate. We'll help you. What is the problem with that?
I understand correct.
What's the problem with that?
I understand completely why Smotrich is trying to do that.
No. What's the problem?
He's trying to do that because even Bezalel Smotrich can't ignore the fact that if you are annexing the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, whatever you want to call it,
now whatever,
you are annexing it with 3.5 million Palestinians that would get Israeli citizenship, and that would be the end of Israel as a Jewish state.
What he's saying,
or it would cease to be a democracy if we won't give them the right to vote. So he's trying to make like magic to make them go away. They're not getting anywhere. They're going to be there, and you cannot ignore that. And that's the failure of the Smotrich, of the right wing vision
Meanwhile,
on the future of Israel.
Meanwhile, we're winning we're winning 11 consecutive years of elections, so I guess we're not failing. But again, your facts are incorrect. What Smotrich said is the following: his plan also includes a provision offering Israeli residency to the Arabs in Judea and Samaria who accept Israel's sovereignty,
But not citizenship.
and then full citizenship would also be available to those Arabs who are willing to enlist into the IDF.
Why don't
hold
you?
On one second.
Hold on.
Hold
What
on.
about,
Time out. Let me just finish.
what about Orthodox Jews?
One second. Good
They
question.
don't serve.
Good question. We'll talk about that next time. But right now, what happened was you made statements which were not true.
What are we, Eritrea?
No.
You have, you have to serve in the military in order to get citizenship.
First of all, we're talking about a people who are brought up in an area that see the destruction of Israel as something valuable.
Right, and
yes,
you
have to prove your loyalty to the country, otherwise you don't get citizenship.
But you want them with us. We want to separate from them.
Again, well, the funny thing is when the right said that they're over in Jordan, we're here in Shalom, and everyone will have peace.
But they're not in Jordan. They're there. They're your next door neighbors. You live in a territory that is predominantly Palestinian.
Okay, you done? Again, it's Arab, first of all, but we're not going to go into that. But I'm saying to it, you can laugh all you want. You're laughing, it doesn't help facts. It's historical facts. They're Arabs. The Palestinian name in 1964.
Arab Palestinians.
There is nothing.
Palestinian
There is
Arabs.
nothing pre-1948 that was Arab Palestinian. Zero. I can give you many things that were Palestinian Jewish. But we're not going to go into that right now. The point is right now.
Before 48, there was no Israeli.
That's true. That's true. So you just admitted to me that I'm right.
So hold on, you're an American or
no, I'm Jewish. I'm Jewish.
Okay, so you're Jewish. You're not Israeli. That's exactly what Abbas says, by the way. That's a problem.
No, Abbas will not accept the Jewish state. You're making up things as we go along. Abbas says, I will not recognize a Jewish state. You can't keep on making up these things. But again, I'm Jewish, and my only right to this country, by the way, is the fact that I'm Jewish. That's all it is. Israel comes from the name of Israel.
And what about the non-Jews who are here?
The non-Jews who are here, like the Druze and the Christians who are loyal to Israel, have a wonderful life.
What do you mean loyal to Israel?
Loyal to the state of Israel as the Jewish democratic
the only
state.
country in the history that made loyalty as a precondition to citizenship and revoked citizenship was Germany in the 1930s.
The United States of America.
Loyalty.
One of the debates that are going on between the different communities in Israel, besides politics that have to do with the Arabs and the Israelis, is religion. There's a very, very strong and vocal debate between secular and religious, or traditional and religious, traditional and secular. You know, they say when there are two Jews, there are three opinions. Well, when it comes to religion, there really is a bash in between. And I will admit that some of this problem comes from the fact that religion in Israel has been politicized. I'll admit that we have a big problem with that. However, when it comes to the Shabbat, the Sabbath, so Ben Gurion, before the state, met with the Aguda, which is the Haredi party, and they came to a compromise. And they said there would not be public transportation on the Sabbath in Israel and other different things that followed up. Now, in Israel, over the last week, there are two things that came up. First of all, the Supreme Court has been given an appeal that they want them to decide to put public transportation on the Sabbath in Israel. And the second thing, there was a demand to have soccer games, national soccer games, on the Sabbath in Israel. Now, before I hand it over to you to explain, and then of course we'll argue about it and fight it out, just to give a little clarification, in the state of Israel right now, there is a current law of a day of rest. And the only reason that the government can give permission to someone to work on the Sabbath is if it's security reasons or if it bothers the major operations of the country. There is no, it's uncomfortable. Whether I believe it's right or wrong to force people, or I believe it's wrong, but nationally, when it's a national bus company, the state of Israel, which is the Jewish state, should not nationally and publicly have the desecration of the Sabbath. Passing it over to you, Uri.
Sure. Small disclaimer, both of us are personally involved in those two issues because Ari's brother is the advisor for Bezalel Smotrich, who's
parliament assistant.
Right, and my life partner Tamar Zandberg, MK Tamar Zandberg, is one of the ones who appealed to the High Court of Justice, again calling upon the Minister of Transportation to do what is obligated by law. And now I get into the arguments. According to the Israeli,
he's not obligated by law.
According to the Israeli law, he's obligated to examine the conditions each time he's asked to have public transportation on Shabbat. By the way, he doesn't have to get into account the religion aspects, but rather transportational aspects. Now, the Minister of Transportation, neither this one and nor any Minister of Transportation has ever examined this issue. And I should say, as someone who respects the Sabbath, I do not absorb it as a Orthodox Jew like you do, but I definitely respect it and have some of the traditions on that day, and I definitely don't work on that day. First of all, it's a social issue because many Israelis that don't have cars can't get to places of leisure on the day of rest, which is the Sabbath. They can't go to the beach. They can't go to, I don't know, to the parks.
Wherever they'd like to go. Wherever
they can't even go to the hospital visiting their families if they're hospitalized. It's really problematic socially wise. It's also a problem on the level of environment because due to the fact that you don't have I want our viewers to understand, viewers from around the world, on the Sabbath, on Saturdays, for 25 hours, the train doesn't work, national buses don't work, and city buses don't work. So you don't have any way to go definitely from one city to another, and also within the cities you can't go anywhere. This is not a question of it's not a question of religion. Most Israelis do not observe the Shabbat. What happens is that people who can afford it buy the cars, and we have a huge problem. Israel has one of the highest density of cars per square kilometer in the world. It affects the environment, and of course it creates a gap. You can't impose on people your way of life.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And by the way, I met this week someone who used to be the chair of the Jewish Home Party, Zvulun Orlev, was the former chair before Bennett. When I was the chair of the Young Emirates, I invited him over because he offered a compromise on driving on having public transport on Shabbat, on the expense of shutting down the big shopping malls, which I'm all for on Shabbats. I think we should get to a compromise here. It doesn't make sense, this ban.
So I think, again, we're in agreement that I don't think you can coerce people to be religious, but that's, again, not what we're talking about. And all the things you mentioned, I do feel for those people, but then there's law in the country. And just to understand, just to understand that the law in the country, right, you can change the law, that's political. That's political, which is fine. Right now, for the last at least 11 years, I think now, they voted this way. Now, the issue is the following, just to understand the appeal that went to the High Court, because I really don't understand it.
Netanyahu,
one second, let me just
Israel Katz, they don't observe the Shabbat. They use their cars on Shabbat.
That's totally irrelevant what I'm talking about now. Again, what he does in his personal life has nothing to do with law. In terms of the state has to give transportation that is essential. So there are lines in areas, for instance, where there's a majority of non-Jews, or there are places where they have to be. But what happened was the appeal went on the fact saying that it is still essential because there are X amount of people who, like you said, don't have this and don't have that. That's not essential. That might be uncomfortable for them, and we might need to find we might need to find a compromise. But by law, they don't have to put it up by law.
First of all, and by the way, the Minister of Transport has to take transportational issues,
right,
not,
he has to measure
not religious
ones. Essential. He said it's not essential.
Not only essential.
That's all he has to measure by.
No,
they have the law.
It's not.
But beyond, let's go to the soccer, and this is just what I'm proving. This is not about buses, Uri. This is about the character of Israel. And the fact that they're fighting over it, right? So it's not about buses.
It's not a halachic state.
So we're looking at the pictures now from Florida, I believe, with Hurricane Irma. And, I've been watching this throughout the week, and my heart and prayers go out to the people also in Houston who got hit badly, in Florida, and many other areas around the United States are being hit by this horrific, what do we call it, natural disaster. And, we have people who were in my neighborhood. They came in, they just made Aliyah, and their house, they don't have to do it themselves. Their houses, our prayers and our hopes go out to everyone. I think we can both agree that, keep safe, people, and if you have to evacuate, get out, keep yourself safe, and may God watch over you. Really, it's a horrific scene what we're seeing here. I mean, truly, look at this. We have water up to levels of like bedrooms on the second floor.
Yeah, I definitely, my prayers and our hearts go to the people of Florida, of Texas, and of course of the Caribbeans who are already hit as well. And let's hope that there won't be no casualties and that the damage will be as minor as possible.
We're praying for you over there in Florida and Texas, so know that stay strong, and we are here in the state of Israel praying for you. Have a great weekend, everyone.